Chicken debeaking is done to prevent cannibalism and improve feed conversion. The Avi Beaker is the best automatic debeaker on the market that ensures uniform debeaking and perfect cauterization for both chicks and adult birds. The reinforced stainless steel case and the components guarantee a minimum of maintenance and a maximum lifetime. With the automatic system, the beak is both cut and cauterized in one process. Debeaking young breeders or layers can be done from day one. If necessary, re-debeaking is done between 16 and 20 weeks or in adult birds. Before beginning debeaking, verify that the voltage is 220 volts unless otherwise specified. For maximum security, we recommend that a ground wire be used. The blade has two cutting edges. When installed correctly, the blade is parallel with the beak gauge with the upper edge beveled and the lower edge flat. The blade must touch the copper contacts located on the arm of the transformer. Install the blade with the Allen screws. Before operating the Avi Beaker, verify that the blade is correctly positioned and then slightly tighten in place. After you install the beak gauge, you will need to adjust the height of the blade and its lateral position and tighten it firmly in place. There are two types of beak gauges, one with 3 holes for different size beaks in young birds, and one for touch-up debeaking in older birds with 1 hole and an attached beak support. The Avi Beaker is shipped from the factory tested and ready to use. However, due to movement during transport or after use, the beak gauge may need to be adjusted. Put the gauge in its support, tightening it firmly with the 5/32 inch hex nut. Verify that it's not touching the blade. With the beak gauge in place, adjust the height and lateral position of the blade. Turn on the Avi Beaker and press the pedal until the blade descends to its lowest point, and then turn off the debeaker. The blade should cover the gauge holes. If it doesn't, loosen the 1/8 inch wing nuts that hold the blade support to the ceramic block and adjust the blade height. As you tighten the nuts, verify that the blade is parallel with the gauge. In the same way, adjust the blade sideways when using one of the outside holes since the central part of the blade is the hottest and should always be used. Then tighten the Allen screws on the transformer, verifying again that the blade is parallel with the beak gauge. To know if the machine is properly regulated, turn on the Avi Beaker, press the pedal and observe that the space between the blade and the gauge is as small as possible without touching. Important: if during the process of adjusting the Avi Beaker the blade hits the gauge, as it is moving downwards, turn off the main switch immediately or the motor can be damaged. After turning off the main switch, remove the gauge nut to relieve the pressure on the motor and follow the above adjustment steps. Loosen the hex nut that holds the gauge in its support. Press the gauge flat against the blade and pull it back slightly and tighten the nut again. The gauge should be lined up with the blade without touching it. To adjusting the hand support, put the support in a comfortable position for resting the hand during debeaking and tighten the wing nuts. This same support can be used as a handle to carry the Avi Beaker. When you begin the debeaking process, you need to adjust the blade heat. Turn on the power switch and the heat switch, both located on the front panel of the Avi Beaker. Turn the heat control knob clockwise until the blade is completely red. Now turn the heat knob counterclockwise until only the central part of the blade is red. The operator should debeak about a dozen birds and inspect the results a few minutes later. If one or more birds is bleeding, increase the heat, being careful not to increase the temperature so much that the nostril or tongue are burned. Try to keep the temperature at the lowest setting while still completely cauterizing the beak. Hold the bird by putting the thumb behind the head and hold the neck with the index finger. In this way, the bird is immobilized with a decreased chance of cutting or burning the tongue. Insert the beak into the hole in a perpendicular position without pressuring the beak unduly. Holding the bird firmly, press the pedal with your foot and the blade will lower, cutting and cauterizing the beak. Don't let go of the bird until the blade has returned to the top position. Release the bird and repeat the process with the next bird. Choose the best hole for the proper debeaking. The recommended distance below the nostril is 2.5 to 3.5 millimeters, or about 1/8 inch. After finishing debeaking, first turn off the heat control switch and a few minutes later, the power switch. This way, the ventilator can cool the machine, thereby increasing its life. Generally, problems that might occur over the life of the machine have simple solutions. If the blade doesn't heat, first try tightening the Allen screws. Then verify the contact between the copper contacts on the transformer and the blade. A blade doesn't heat without good contact. Sand the copper contacts and the ends of the blade periodically and tighten the screws. If the blade moves continuously when the pedal isn't pressed, remove the top of the Avi Beaker case. On the rear side, there is a micro switch that is activated when the blade rises to turn off the Avi Beaker. Observe the movement to see if the L lever on the transformer is making contact with the micro switch. If not, loosen the nut securing the L lever and reposition it so that it turns off the debeaker when the blade is in the highest position. If the pilot light doesn't turn on, verify that the unit is plugged into an outlet receiving energy. Verify the fuse on the rear panel of the machine. If the problem continues, contact wings. When the blade becomes dull or cracked, invert the blade and use the other side. When both sides are dull or cracked, dispose of the blade and replace with a new one.